To get your business up and running, ensure that you're doing the legal thing. In this module, we'll discuss some of the legal requirements in getting your business started. The first bit of advice I have for you is get some legal advice. I encourage you to find a small business lawyer out there that can help you through this process. You'll also probably need an accountant. An accountant will give you the accounting and the tax advice, and a lawyer will give you the legal advice. It's money well spent, so get out there and get yourself a lawyer and an accountant. The first thing is you've got to decide how you're going to operate this business. Are you going to operate as a corporation? Are you going to be a partnership? Or are you going to be a sole proprietor? Again, it really depends on what your vision is, what your plans are for the future, and this is why I encourage you to get some advice. So let's start off by discussing the different structures, the pros and the cons of each one. The advantage of a sole proprietor is that it's very simple to set up. Your financial statements are simple, and you can create them, or you can get a bookkeeper or accountant to do it for you, which I encourage. There's no registration required if you operate under your personal name, and there are tax advantages in the startup. So think about this. This could be the right way for you to start. Also understand that if you start as a sole proprietor, you can later on convert to a corporation. Again, get some advice from your accountant about this. Let's look at some of the cons. And this is something you've got to think about. There is no limit to your liability. If you've got assets, if somebody decides to sue you, you're putting your assets at risk. The business terminates on your death. So if you've got family and you'd like to hand over this business to your family, it creates a whole lot of legal issues. Obtaining finance for a sole proprietor can be quite difficult because really they're basing the decision on you. You are taxed as an individual, so the more you earn, the more you pay, which could really stunt the growth of your business. And the other reason is it can get really lonely on your own. And many business owners have said this to me. This is often why they'll partner, because they get lonely operating their business on their own. But you know what? If it works for you, do it. The next one is a partnership. Let's discuss the pros of a partnership. Again, very simple and easy to set up. The big advantage of a partnership is that you and your partners can have complementary skills. So maybe I do the operations, you do the marketing. And termination of the business is simple. So these are some of the advantages, really easy to do the financials. So you may decide to go this route. Also understand that if you start off as a partnership and decide to incorporate later on, you can do this. But there are some cons, and this we need to think about. When it comes to the debts of the partnership, the partners are jointly and severally liable for the debts. So this is a little bit scary, because if I sue your business, I could either go after all the partners or you as an individual. There'll often be disputes between partners. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with small business owners and they'll complain that they argued with their partner. There's no continuity if one partner dies, or if one partner decides to leave the partnership, really it dissolves. And both partners are taxed as individuals. So the more you earn, the more you pay. And if you're in a growing business, generating quite a lot of profit that you're reinvesting, this could be a disadvantage. A corporation is probably the best structure to protect your assets, and for tax purposes, especially once you start making a lot of profit, there could be a real benefit. Now, the advantage of being a corporation is that it's a separate legal entity, so it limits your liability. As long as you haven't signed that you are liable for the business's assets, it limits your liability. So if I sue your corporation, I'm suing your corporation, not you. The other advantage is that you can transfer shares. Let's use an example. Two of us start off the corporation. We find somebody that's got some money that we want to join the corporation. They can buy shares in the corporation. There is continuity. So if one of the partners dies, their family can inherit the shares and keep the business operational. There are some tax advantages. The big advantage we have in Canada is that we have a small business tax rate. And I encourage you to discuss this with your accountant, because this may really benefit your business. The tax rate is low, and it works in small businesses' favor. And when it comes to marketing, the perception out there is if you incorporate it, you're probably more professional. Again, it's just about perceptions, but perceptions are sometimes important. What are the disadvantages of a corporation, or the cons of a corporation? It's more expensive to set up. You can set it up yourself, but I would encourage you to pay a lawyer or an accountant to set it up for you, especially if you're more than one member. The law requires a greater disclosure of company financial affairs. You'll have to get yourself an accountant, which is going to cost you more money to do your financials at the end of the year. And I encourage you to get some income tax advice, because in a corporation, you can keep a lot of the profits in the corporation and pay less taxes. So get some tax advice. This could really be to your benefit. So if you want to build a big business, I'd encourage you to discuss with your lawyer and accountant incorporating your business. In the long term, it makes a lot of sense. Not in the short term, but in the long term, it could make a lot of sense. Now, here's some tips if you're going to partner with other human beings. Always have agreements in writing. In your agreement, if you're going to be working in the same business together, each partner's contribution. What are we going to contribute? Money, equipment, knowledge, all those things. Write it down. Each partner's responsibilities. What are you going to do? What are your partners going to do? Very clear so everybody understands. How profits and losses will be divided. Often we tend to focus mainly on the profits, but there may be losses too. How much salary each partner will earn. How are we going to decide how much each partner gets paid? If there's a dispute, how will this be resolved? And if the partnership is to be sold or dissolved, how or who will value the business? So you see that there are a whole lot of issues that come up. I would encourage you to write all these things down, then take this information, go and see a lawyer, or maybe each partner go and see their own lawyer, and create a contract that suits all the members. And really, this makes a lot of sense. It's going to save you a lot of heartache in the future. When it comes to disputes, you could nominate an accountant or a lawyer that will deal with the disputes. When it comes to valuing the business, you could do exactly the same thing. Nominate an accountant that will value your business for you. So think about all these things. And lawyers, especially those working with small business, are used to creating these documents. The key thing is that you take your relevant information and they will help you create a contract that works for the two of you or three of you, or however many members you have in the corporation or partnership. Let's discuss other legal things you need to do. When it comes to taxes, you've got to register for HST if you expect your sales to be more than $30,000 a year. For some businesses, it pays to register for HST even if your sales aren't going to be $30,000. I'd encourage you to discuss this with your accountant. The other thing you need to do is you need to register for payroll. If you're employing people, you have to register for payroll. The other thing that may affect you is WSIB, Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, especially if you have machinery or you're working in the construction business. This is a key issue. I would encourage you to contact them and ask them if there are any requirements for you. Insurance. You may decide that you want to take out liability insurance to protect your assets or to protect your employees or somebody coming onto your premises. But again, get some legal advice about this. Speak to a lawyer, speak to an accountant. They've got experience working with small businesses and they could help you. On the right-hand side, I've shared a couple of links here with you. You've got Canada Revenue Agency that's got a whole lot of information about the business registration and how you can do it. You got WSIB that's got some tips and guidance for small businesses. And then there's some information there about registering for HST. So discuss these things with your accountant, go and do your research, and get these things in place. When it comes to your permits and licensing, here's a great link for you. Go to www.bizpal.com, and there you can check out what permits and licensing requirements there are specifically for your business. Again, do your research, make sure you have everything legal in place. If you operate your business from home, just be aware you don't want to make noise, you don't want to generate too much excess traffic, because your neighbors could report you and you'd have to close your business down. So just be aware of this, discuss it with the local city, they'll be able to guide you and give you some direction. So let us just summarize. First things first, get some legal advice and get some accounting advice. Secondly, understand the different structures: sole proprietor, partnership, and corporation. Remember, you can change. So you can start off as a sole proprietor and you can later on form a corporation. Ensure that you have all agreements in writing and ensure that you're operating your business legally. Address these issues and you'll be okay, but make sure you address them early on. Here's an exercise for you. Set up an appointment with your accountant and lawyer to ensure that your legal issues are addressed. Everything in place so you can sleep well at night. Visit your local city hall to ensure that you are able to operate your business legally. They will be able to advise you and guide you, and the website, so make sure you have these things in order. Then you can get your business up and running. So go out there, get these things done, and get your business started.